Welcome back to part 2 of the video series on immigration from Hamburg and Bremen in the 19th and 20th century. In the second part of the video series, I'm going to talk about research possibilities. We take a look at the passenger departure records from Hamburg, what information is included, what else you need to think about, where you can find them, and what other records are available nowadays. So, again, welcome back. We're going to take a look at the passenger departure list. I'll show you an example of a direct and an indirect list. We're looking also at the passenger list of non-immigrant vessels that I mentioned in the first part, as well as looking at online databases based on the passenger arrival records, in this case in the US. Again, the Hamburg passenger departure list exists from 1850 through 1934. They are located at the Hamburg State Archive and can be researched there. They are also available for research on Ancestry as well as FamilySearch.org on the website. The records from Bremen and respectively Bremerhaven exist for the years 1920 through 1939. The website is listed together with all the other information that I'm referring to, the websites, etc., names of websites. You will find them in the document which lists the sources and further information here below this video. So there's also the website where you can gain access to this Bremen passenger list as of 1920 onwards. Also, the records from Stettin, the passenger list, they are available at the State Main Archive in Greifswald as well as on Ancestry. This is an example of a direct passenger list. It's the ship Holsatia, which sailed on May 22nd, 1872 from Hamburg to New York. They're usually, this is now the time, the portion of the steerage or in between deck, and here is what you find in the passenger list. So the first one is the entry number, respectively the number of the passenger, the count of the passenger in the passenger list. You then have the last name followed by the first name. You have the gender, male, female, the age of the passenger, the previous place of residence prior to the immigration. This is important to know. This is not the birthplace. It's the last place of residence before a person immigrated. And that can be much different from the place of origin of one of your ancestors. Then it's not just the town, but it's also the state or province in which this town is, which is important. If you have certain towns in Germany exist 7, 10 or more times, so it's always good to know where you look for them. Here you have information of the professional status, and status meaning the wife, child, or something like that. Besides professional, self-explanatory. Here you have the final destination of the immigration, where they want to go to. And the last columns are basically a count of the passengers and statistics, such as the age of the passengers and if the children under the age of 10 or under the age of 1 year old. So similar to this would be a passenger list of an indirect sailing. That's the North Star that sailed on July 1st, 1871 from Hamburg to Leith to continue then on via Glasgow to New York. On this list, you only have one passenger, Johann Bauer. And again, here is the number. He's number 1 passenger. His last name is first name. He's male. He's 24 years old. His last place of residence in Preußen. He was a baker. He wants to go to New York. It's one person, and one adult older than 10 years. So I mentioned to you that they are the non-immigrant vessels also. They are basically, the collection is divided in 2 parts. The first one covering the years 1871 through 1883. And these are just plain pages where you have, in the left column, you have information on the destination of the vessel. In this case, it's going to Brazil. It's a steam vessel sailing in 1871. You have the name of the captain, the departure date, and this one is going to Bahia, Rio de Janeiro, and Santos. Here you have, on this page, part of the page, you have the passenger information, last name, first name, age, profession, where they currently, last place of residence, where they currently live, and where they're going to. And the second part of this collection that covers the years 1884 through 1887, here you see that it is already a more detailed or more organized standard format. Again, you have the details on the vessel. In this case, it's a ship leaving on July 26th in 1884, sailing to Canada, Montreal to be correct. And you have the vessel, the destination, the captain, and departure date. You have here, you have the last and first names of the passengers, you have the age, and you have the column is titled is business, which again covers again profession or status. In this case, it's a wife with her 5 children. It's they are coming from Russia. Their current residence was in Russia, and the destination of immigration is Canada. It's a Jewish mother with her 5 children, and when it comes to the year 1884, it's probably safe to say that her immigration has to do with the Russian Jewish pogroms in 1881. So this is for the years as of 1820. We also have the re-migration records, respectively passenger arrival lists in Hamburg. These are not in any database. They are only the original books available, and there are no name indexes to them. The other lists that I showed you before all have name indexes. The direct and indirect passenger lists are, again, they are on Ancestry and can be searched on other platforms at the State Archive in Hamburg as well. The non-immigrant lists are only available at the State Archive in Hamburg. They are not in the database. And these re-migration lists, respectively passenger arrival records in Hamburg, they are only available at the at the State Archive in Hamburg, and there are no name indexes to them. So if you're looking for a person, you really have to look page by page by page, and there are many thousands of them. So I also found some interesting names in the passenger list. It was something that a rumor that I heard, and a friend of mine told me about this, and then I actually found it, so I was very happy to have the confirmation of that. So I'm going back to the passenger list of the Holsatia departing in May 1872. There was a family waltz coming from Waldorf in Bavaria, and they left its mother, father, and 4 children at this point. But when they arrive in New York, they have 5 children because there was a daughter born aboard. And the rumor that I heard was that aboard the ships of the Hapag, the Hamburg shipping line, it was common that children born during an ocean crossing or Atlantic crossing, that they would be named after the ship. And here was the proof of that. So this little girl's name was then indeed Holsatia, called after the ship's name, Holsatia Waltz. So I thought that was very funny. And the person who told me about this was actually part in the, I think it was in 1980s and 90s, there was this project in Philadelphia, From Germans to America, where they collected information based on the arrival records from 1850 through 1897. They made a collection of all the German passengers that arrived in America. And this was an attempt to make up for the lost passenger list departure records from Bremen. And so these records are, I actually still have a CD somewhere in my bookcase, but they are also available on Family Search and other online databases. based on the arrival records are from Ellis Island and Castle Garden in New York City. And again, the websites are on the document. If you're looking for someone who went to Brazil, then the Instituto Márcio Staden is interesting and might be worth contacting them. We have additional sources other than the actual original passenger list are the immigration permission files, respectively discharge certificates that are mentioned in the first part of this talk. And there are several other German online databases. Many of them come from state archives or municipal archives, as well as historical societies. Then there are also the newspaper articles, and there's literature from the time before the internet and all these wonderful technical databases. So here's an example of one of these discharge certificates, and these are basically information that you can find on a local level where the immigrants lived or were born, lived before they left. In this case, this is at the State Main Archive from Brandenburg. It's a family. You have the full information. They left in September 1867. This was filed, and you have the name and information on the father, where they lived, birth next to birth information, where they plan to go to. You have the wife, and you have the 4 children listed with all their birth details. For this particular place, there are no church records anymore, so this is an invaluable document because you get more vital and personal information that you otherwise wouldn't find anywhere else anymore. Again, you have many municipal archives have both these like databases with these immigration permission files or other records on immigrants from that area. There are many genealogical and historical societies who worked on finding records and having a collection of information on all the immigrants from that area, and they took several different sources into consideration. So again, please refer to the handout there. In the first part, I also mentioned that before you immigrated, it was necessary that sometimes there were arrest warrants or announcements about planned immigration, so that you can, like, if an immigrant owed you any money, or to really have that covered. So most of the German newspapers are not yet available online, and so they're not really searchable. So if you're looking for someone there, it's rather tedious, and it's nothing. I'm not sure if the effort it takes to look through newspapers really warrants for what the results that you may have. But then again, it's like, if it's the only thing that you find, if you find something, it's definitely worthwhile. But again, it's not my preferred source to go to. But here you would have arrest warrants for escaped conscripted soldiers. You have announcements of auctions with household items. In one newspaper from Kiel in Schleswig-Holstein, I found a remark that Friedrich Herstecker returned from his last trip to the US and that he's back in Europe now. So again, these are tidbits of information that might be fun. Again, before the whole online databases and all of that existed, there were many people who put a lot of effort into collecting the information manually, I would say. And so these are 2 examples of great literature series about immigration, and that also attempt to cover this gap that exists due to the missing original departure records from Bremen. So there's on one hand this effort of books with the German immigrants list of passengers bound from Bremen to New York based on the arrival records in New York, covering the years 1847 through 1862. There's also this 5-part book, I think, series of the Württemberg Immigration Index, which is based on local records in Württemberg, as well as, it's my understanding, also arrival records in the US. So basically, I want to thank you for your attention, wish you best of luck with your research,